So who told you that life is fair? There are people all over the world that are starving hungry. They've got no money, no TVs. And then there are people with loads and loads of stuff, right? So whatever made you think life was fair, I think you can look around and know that it's not really so. And so what we're going to talk about today is, which is the last one of the series, we're going to talk about a skill called effectiveness. And what this skill does is it goes together with non-judgmental and one mindful. And that's how you become mindful. So we've talked about the what, now we're talking about the how. And this is the last purpose of that. So when we're trying to be effective, effectiveness is a word that we use to help us move away from the ideas of things being right, wrong, good, bad, that things should happen in this way or shouldn't happen in that way. Because when we think like that, it absolutely causes problems in our mind. Yeah. And so in terms of being effective, it also helps to know your goals, to know what you want, or to know your purpose, or know what you're trying to get. Because this cues your brain in. Yeah? It helps your brain find the path that it's looking for. And when we do that, there's two elements to this. One is about starting to let go of your principles. Yeah? Because there are times when we need to let go of our principles. For example, right, you might not believe in claiming welfare, right? But if your kids were starving, would you go to a food bank? Or would you go and beg for help from the government? You probably would, right? And some people, what they do is they get stuck in their principles, and it starts to go against what they need in life. In other words, they cut their nose off to spite their face. So what I was going to do is I was going to give you an example of letting go of principles and moving away from these ideas of right or wrong. So years ago, when I left the NHS, I was wanting to set up my own business, and I had a phone call from a local authority, and they were saying, look, we want to offer you some clients, we want to help those and really launch your career. And I was really keen to do that. And they said, look, you know, you have to go through a process, and they set up a day of meetings, and I was given a slot, one of the slots first thing in the morning. And what happened was I got out of the tube station, I went into the shop, I topped up my Oyster card, jumped on the bus, beep, tried to get through, and the driver said, there's no money on it. I said, look, there's money on it, I've just been into the shop. Beep, tried again, walked through, he calls me back, he says, look, there's no money in it, you can't get on the bus. So I said, look, I gave him a £5, I said, here's £1.50, let me on the bus. He said, we don't take money anymore, can't get on. And I was getting annoyed at this time. So I just sat on the bus and I thought, you know what, I know I've paid and I'm just sitting here. And he just looked at me and he said, we're not going anywhere. We're not going anywhere until you pay. So what do I do in that situation? Do I sit there on my principles? I know I'm right, I know I went in there. Or do I do the thing that's effective for me? Do I jump off the bus, go back into the shop, top my Oyster card up, get the next bus? Because I was keen to get there on time. I had to show that I was willing to do that. So I jump off the bus, right? And I go back, and I run there to get to my meeting. Yeah. So for that £1, so I had a choice, didn't I? £1.50 or the money that I would have got for taking these clients for a year. So think about that yourself, you know, when you're thinking about right, wrong, good, bad, or even fair and unfair, right? If life was really fair, I'd probably be living in Barbados with a couple of models in a swimming pool, right? But it isn't. I'm here having to talk to you. So what I'm going to do now is I'm just going to quickly recap this for you, right? So we're joining all of these skills together. Yeah, know your goals, know what you want. It just helps, yeah? It helps the brain. Stay away from this kind of thinking, right, wrong, good, bad. Let go of your principles sometimes when you need to. Don't cut your nose off to spite your face. And now I'm going to give you some tips and ways that you could do this. So when using the effectiveness skill, you're really now bringing into play all the other elements that we talked about, the what skills and the how skills. Yeah, you're going to be observing, noticing stuff. You need to be able to describe. You need to be able to be non-judgmental and mindful. So in order to check yourself about being effective, you can ask yourself some of these questions. With this choice, let's think about it, me sitting on the bus. With this choice, whose life am I improving? Yeah. With that, so if I'd have asked myself that in the time, what would I have done? With this choice to sit here and sulk, whose life would I be improving? Another way of thinking at it is, does this action now get me closer to what I want or further away from it? Yeah. So it's also the same, like notice again. You know, another thing is to notice in your body when you're feeling ineffective, yeah? When you're angry. Do you feel it in your shoulders? Do you feel it in your stomach clenching? Do you feel it in your jaw tightening? Do you feel heat in your face? Maybe you get a backache or your stomach churning. So when you're angry, ask yourself, is this effective? Yeah. Another way of thinking about this is to ask yourself this question. You know, I do this when I'm arguing with people. Particularly maybe I'm arguing with my partner or something like that. I think to myself, you know, when we're both trying to get our point across, I think to myself, would I rather be right or would I rather be happy? And then I notice, and then the other part of this is noticing the difference between being effective and being ineffective. Often, when I let go of the need to be right, I feel more relaxed. I feel more able to problem solve afterwards. And that's really what we're looking at when we're being effective. We're looking at letting go of this and giving us more chance to solve some of the problems in our life. Another way of looking at it is about willfulness, you know. Are you refusing to do what works for you? Because that's what we're really wanting to focus on. Playing by the rules and doing what works. And this helps us to regulate our emotions. So what I'd like you to do is crack on with it, right? So this is the end of this series. And look, there are loads of resources. There are loads of resources out there. You can hear from the mentors. You can meet up. You can meet up with me where you can ask questions. But the key to this is really practice. So we're just summing up mindfulness. We've gone through the 3 components of mindfulness, which is awareness, acceptance, and attention. You know, becoming aware of stuff, noticing, you know, in order to change, in order to put information into our brains so that we can change. To accept that, you know, life isn't maybe always going the way that we want it to be. And then our attention. Because the thing that we can control more than anything else, it's very difficult to control our thoughts, difficult to control our emotions, can be difficult to control our behavior. But the thing that we can control is our attention and where we put it. But the key to this is the practice. And you know, practice it again and again and again. And when you want to go back and check, go onto Instagram and look at all the other resources that are out there. So, your choice is to practice it or stay miserable, right?